Cabana is in the air, okay? And the official article isn't published, but I know a fair amount about it for a couple reasons, not the least of which at the Heart Rhythm Society late-breaking trial section, I was asked to be what's called a discussant, which meant I got some of the results early and was able to sort through them and think about them. Also, Doug Packer happens to be a close friend of mine. So it's not that he's broken any rules, but once the Cabana was out there, he and I had a chance to talk about it in more detail. And it's an unbelievably important trial, and I'm going to tell you, hats off to Dr. Packer, who spent, what, a decade plus of his life doing this trial. So now Cabana's finished and Cabana's presented. And as with many trials, you get two sides ready to go. I don't know why people can't just simply accept the data and wait till the full manuscript's out, but no, that's not what happened. So let's talk Cabana for a second. Let's talk the intention to treat analysis, because this is what's created most of the fervor. Trial lists are off the charts upset by some of the comments that were made of what's called secondary analyses. But I was a discussant, and let me tell you how I tried to put it into perspective from my view as a consultant electrophysiologist who sees lots and lots of patients with AFib. First of all, the intention to treat analysis, which for people who don't know all the statistical things means that 20 people get into group A, 20 people get into group B, you send them on their way. We don't care what you do. We don't care you never did the ablation. We don't care that you decided to go party for 4 years. We really don't care what you did. In the end of the analysis, we're going to look at both groups and we're going to say, what were the endpoints? Even if you didn't get the procedure done, or even if you didn't take the drug you were supposed to, we don't care. The intention to treat limb is what we're looking at. So, if you look at that, there was no difference, statistically no difference between drugs and ablation in major outcomes. Now, you can look at that as the glass half full or as the glass half empty. I look at it, frankly, as the glass half full. For years, people have said, don't do ablation, do drugs, only do ablation when drugs fail. Well, how do those people now feel? Some of those people were the loudest voices out there screaming about Cabana, but they've been anti-ablation for years. They're druggies, frankly, from their careers. That doesn't mean it's bad. I'm just saying that all their career work has been in the drug area. Well, let's look at the data. If there's no difference, shouldn't I be able to, in my office with any patient I see, offer up front a choice of drugs or ablation? You got to at least give me that. Okay, and that was part of what my discussion was, that major outcomes were the same. If major outcomes are the same, then at the very least it should be in the initial discussion, or it's not fair to the patients because you didn't see one was better than the other with major outcomes. And that's how I've interpreted it. Now dig deeper. I know I'm going to hear from people. This video presentation will be seen by somebody who will undoubtedly write me a negative note or do some tweet or whatever people like to do that don't like what you have to say. But as a doctor and as a patient, you should ask the following. Well, how did the people actually do who received therapy, whether it be drugs or ablation? Well, guess what, gang? The people who actually received an ablation did pretty well, okay, in many metrics. Now, that wasn't the primary outcome of the study, and I'm not going to present it as such, but it's still worthwhile information on my part. I mean, there's a group of people who got the ablation, and they actually did well. And there's also an analysis that's been published, been presented in the European meetings that show quality of life was better for the ablation group than the drug group, although both seem to do better than having neither one of them, which supports what I've been yelling for years, that sinus rhythm, I think, is better than rate control. I mean, that's not the outcome of the study, but that's one of the things I took away from this regarding symptom control, at least in this study. So I'm waiting for the final manuscript to come out. So until that time, here's what we know. We know that major outcomes were similar, i.e., if you're the patient, you should be allowed to pick either one in your treatment strategy. Why not? They were no different as far as complications, as far as anything. Number two, you should know that of the group that received ablation, actually received it, they did pretty well. They had much less AFib than the drug group. You need to know that. What are you supposed to hide that because it wasn't the intention to treat analysis? A 10+ year study, and you're supposed to say, oh, I'm only going to look at one figure? Well, if you're sort of anti-ablation person, yeah, I guess you are going to hide it. If you're the patient, would you not like to know that fact? Forget ablation versus drugs. Let's say it was a surgery on your back issue, and let's say you found no difference in two metrics, okay? So you could either do the surgery or conservative treatment. But then they also found, but the people who got back surgery over the course of the year had less mobility problems, had less this, had less that. Do you not care to know that? So I think for the people who only want to see one figure, fine, don't turn the page. But for the rest of us who want to see the full data set, I'm looking forward to the article.